Yes, we can podcast. Today I have on David Drimmel. That's how you say your last name, right?
Thank you.
Okay. On the show, I found him through another health and wellness gal here in St. Louis, Ashley Kumar, actually. And since then, David and I have had many, many conversations about a lot of things. And I wanted to bring him on to answer some really pertinent questions. So, welcome to the show, David.
Thanks. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for trusting me to speak to your audience today. I hope I can offer some insightful things.
Yeah, so a lot of people that follow me and those of you that are new to the show know that I am very passionate about living, not only myself, but all of us living the healthiest life we possibly can. Because of my husband's cancer diagnosis and ultimately death, it's really put my love for health and wellness and living a longer, healthier life on fire. And so I've been doing a lot of research personally and reaching out to a ton of people. And so I'm really grateful that you and I connected. So David,
Me too.
give
Yeah.
people an idea of who you are and kind of what you do, just a brief synopsis, and then I'm going to ask some more more specific questions about biohacking, because we really, a lot of these people in the audience don't really know what that is.
Yeah.
And people are now starting to kind of realize, okay, our food isn't great that we've been eating. The things we've been doing, the stress, all that is wreaking havoc on our body. So I'm going to hush up and let you take the floor for a little bit and tell us who you are and what you're about.
Well, just something that's been coming up for me recently with the new things out, and I don't want to get too political here, but about making America healthy again.
Mhm.
I've been on that track since 2011
Mhm.
when I was like, what's going on with our soil? What's going on with all the farming that's not regenerative, that's just feeding the junk food industry? And I started changing my lifestyle, and I actually started
I'm out
working
right
at.
here,
Go
David.
ahead.
Was there something that happened? Like what, how would
Yeah.
people know that the soil isn't good? How would people know that
Well,
farms aren't?
that's a great question, because some people are just left in the dark. They're not going to know, because most, you go to a doctor, they're not going to tell you about nutrition. They don't learn nutrition in doctorate school. So for me, it was because I was dealing with gastrointestinal symptoms, what they called IBS-C in Western medicine, and none of the doctors could help me. They wanted to give me the purple and the green pills, and all of it was just making the symptoms worse. In fact, what was making it better was drinking some mineral rich greens, from that were greens that were grown in volcanic ash. It was called the Inner Light supplement. It was really good, and I was starting to feel like my body becoming more alkalized, my digestive system working better, and I wasn't constipated anymore. So
When and how did you find that green juice? So remember, a lot of these people are, some people are literally no clue. Like the thought of drinking green juice, disgusting. So like, how did you come
yeah,
about
which
that?
which I don't do today anymore, but
Yeah.
at the time, my mother she's been a massage therapist for 25 years, and she was working for a famous chiropractor in the area named Dr. Runyon in Kansas City, in the metro there. And he's passed away now, but he was very knowledgeable about all these things. And he told me that I had candida overgrowth and adrenal fatigue. I was
How
like,
did
well, what's
how did
this?
right?
You know? And how did
How
he
did
determine that? Well,
yes?
he took my blood pressure, my orthostatic blood pressure. He checked, my spinal alignment. He asked me about my symptoms and my stool, um, and then my diet and my lifestyle, how well I was sleeping, if I
Mhm.
was hydrating myself, was I taking any supplements, all of that. And at the time, I didn't want to accept it. So that was, probably in 2010, but then I started getting worse. And so I decided I actually needed to become more proactive. Otherwise, I would just be in pain all day. I was afraid to leave the house. So, and then, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I have a question.
You
Okay,
have a
so
question? Yeah.
um and I have this question too. Why chiropractors? Like, why are chiropractors the ones to go to? They're not MDs, right?
Yeah.
They study nutrition in chiropractic school. I don't know, but it seems like most people start with their chiropractor, and then their
Yeah.
chiropractor refers them out to a nutritionalist or a health and, a wellness guru. I just, why chiropractors? Just for all of us to know.
Yeah, well, I mean, the chiropractor is going to tell you that the bridge of life, which is your nerves, your spine is, like the computing board for your body. And if you don't have healthy nerve function throughout your body, then it can cause all kinds of problems. And you need to have electrical impulses to the different places in your body for your organs to work properly, for your motor functioning to work properly, for your brain to function optimally. And if all those things are working together holistically, you can create in the body what's called homeostasis, which is what we call bioharmonizing at Bioharmony Collective, because that's a state of feeling like you're in good health and vitality, where you have this motivation to be in the world and to do things, to give your gifts to the world. Where chiropractic will also, most chiropractors I know, which I have a lot of chiropractor friends out there, so I say hello to you if you're listening. They're Some of them aren't trained in like functional medicine, but a lot of them are now starting to get more training in functional medicine, and they take a holistic approach to health versus just treating parts in chemistry. Like in Western medicine, essentially what they're doing is they're asking you what your symptoms are so they can diagnose you with a disease and then give you a drug to kind of mask the symptom. And when the underlying cause is something that a chiropractor is typically looking for as it pertains to your muscular skeletal system. And oftentimes they are trained also in metabolic health, which metabolic health has to do with how your body is creating energy and getting rid of exhaust. And if you're trained in metabolic health, you're going to look for a root cause of disease. And most metabolic health practitioners are going to look at the body as not as a disease state, but as a dysfunction of metabolic health and mineral dysregulation, and that metabolic dysfunction that happens over a time of compounding stress on the body. And this is what causes the problems. And that what was causing the problem in me was a compounding stress of emotional stress, from our relationships, from the foods that we eat that have chemicals in them that cause stress on your gut microbiome. If you're taking antibiotics or going under, in anesthesia, chemical stressors, electromagnetic stressors, hormonal, like I just described, like relational from emotional stress. And then we also have muscular skeletal stress, which is what a chiropractor is going to help mitigate. And if we can reduce that stress enough, and this is where the chiropractor could come in and help, reduce that stress enough, then you can begin to reduce your chronic symptoms, if not reverse a chronic illness. So
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there. This is all good info.
yeah,
there are people out there that think chiropractors, all they do is crack backs, and they're doing it for money. And I'll give you an example, because I feel like I'm always under stress, and I always have been. But I went to a chiropractor, and they sat me in front of a TV screen in a small room to play this video about how, whatever is wrong with my spine. It's a generic video. And then you move over to pictures, and then you move over to where he does something. And then you watch a final video. And by the time I'm done, they've run my insurance, and they know my insurance is going to cover. And I have some like month and month after month after month come in several days a week. And I'm like, no, dude, like my neck just needed, like I'm just have like a kink in my neck. So are like, what do you say to that when someone's like, chiropractors are, it's a quack show. They're just trying to make money. You know what I mean? That thought process is out there.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, there's probably some bad apples out there for sure, just like there are great doctors and not so good doctors. But, if somebody's just trying to make money, they're just going to crack your back. And it may be beneficial, especially if you have subluxation. Subluxation can cause all kinds of problems to your nerves, pain, inflammation, reduction of optimal function of your brain and your other organs in the body. So definitely it can be very beneficial to just get your back cracked, so to speak, or to get adjusted is what they call it. So just adjustments.
Totally.
But regular visits to a chiropractor to me were very helpful, because I was seeing somebody who was concerned about my health every day and touched my body. It's that physical touch, that emotional connection that
Mhm.
people get from going to a chiropractor that I think can be very beneficial. Now, is it going to hurt the bank? I don't know. It depends on if you have that dispensable income, if your insurance
Totally.
covers it, etc. Is it worth it long term? Perhaps. I see a chiropractor regularly just because I like chiropractors. I like them as humans. They do care about people, the ones that I've interacted with, and I enjoy having my body touched and my back and my neck popped. So that's for me. But if it's not your cup of tea, there's other things to do.
Right.
There are other alternatives you can do as opposed to just taking a drug from a Western med
Right.
doc.
Well, and that's what, I want to clarify. There are a lot of different ways to slice a pie since we're entering Thanksgiving week.
Yeah.
Um,
Hopefully it's pumpkin.
Pumpkin pie, exactly, or pecan, I don't know. So I'm all about whatever you can do to create more health in your life and those around you. So I'm
Kira, are you still there? No shit. I'm staying in this right now. We're waiting on Kira Andersen to get back on the show here, but Mercury went retrograde yesterday, and the laptop that they're using to stream just restarted again. So we're talking about there's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak. We're talking about metabolic health. We're talking about my personal journey and what happened. Oh, there we go. Hey, I like this better because I'm BioHarmony Collective on the left. You know,
all
recipient
right.
over you.
This
I
is
was just
great.
letting everybody know, since I'm live too on my Facebook and Instagram, that
Oh, good.
it's Mercury retrograde and your laptop just ended up restarting on you for no good reason.
3 times. It's been 3
Three
times.
times. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Hopefully it doesn't do it again.
Hopefully not. So anyway,
Yep.
I'm not naysaying on chiropractors. I'm just being devil's advocate and,
Do it. I love it.
so yeah, I just want to know your opinion on that and encourage those of you who haven't been to a chiropractor to perhaps check it out. Find a good, reputable one that doesn't have the same regimen for every single patient coming in. Because I think there are some chiropractors that see it's a business for them. And if they can get you to come in and crack your back several times a week and charge your insurance, they're making a ton of money. So we need to find somebody who's really in tune with the client, right? And go from there.
Yeah. Give it a try. I mean, even if it is somebody that's just like, seeing you on a regular basis, that's
Mhm.
touching your body, that's cracking your back, that's charging your insurance, let them make their money. That's what
Eh,
they love to do. For me, that's how I feel about it. At the same time, if it doesn't feel good for you, like Kira, if that's not something you want to do, yeah, find a more specialized chiropractor. They might charge
yeah.
you more though. So
Well, and then so I have a question about that. Do
yeah.
you know much about somatic therapy?
Yeah, the psychosomatic is a really important piece for healing the body because
Yeah.
emotions and hormonal issues can cause a perpetuation of mineral dumping in the body. For example, if you get angry, it depletes B vitamins, phosphorus, magnesium. So it's important, like, to learn how to circulate your anger and reduce your anger, so you're not constantly dumping those minerals out of your body.
What did you study? What degree do you have? Like where, how did you, have you just studied in depth, done a ton of research?
Well, yeah, over the years. So in 2012, I actually started working at an organic restaurant in Kansas City. The very first, pretty much very first organic restaurant that ever came up was called Cafe Gratitude. All organic. They started, yeah. So I worked
Did
there, and yeah,
Are
go
they the
ahead.
ones that are started in Bay Area?
Yes, correct.
Oh,
Matthew and Tiercy's Englehart started their restaurant. Yeah.
I used to go there all the time because I lived in the Bay Area, and
Oh,
they had it all
cool.
up and down. Oh my gosh, I'm so in love with that place.
Yeah. Yeah, they're wonderful people. I learned so much. And the people that came into that restaurant were practitioners from all walks of life. That's where I learned about the Czech Institute, or Paul Czech, which stands for Corrective Holistic Exercise Kinesiology. And I learned not only exercise kinesiology, but a holistic wellness. And then from there, I learned so much more from so many people that I got to speak to and just connect with on a regular basis at the bar, because I was making smoothies,
Yeah.
tonics, giving people juices and,
That
organic
mint
food all day.
smoothie that mint smoothie, the
Yeah.
green I got the cookbook because I used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
I have tried to recreate that in my that is so funny. Cafe Gratitude, you guys need to look it up if you're in I don't even know
Yeah.
where they are now, but I didn't know they were in the Midwest.
They're in Kansas City. Yeah. Out in the Crossroads area.
I wonder if we can get them to go to come to St. Louis.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have to talk to Natalie.
Will you give me their
Uh,
contact info?
Yeah, so she, was co-owner with Michael George for a while, and then
Yeah.
she kind of did her own thing, and now she's back owning Cafe Gratitude in Kansas City.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, I mean, potential, I guess, possibility. It's
I
not
need
just
to
up to her though.
Yeah, I know, but I need to contact her because I used to go in Santa Cruz in LA, and I mean, that's just so it like blows my mind. Past blast from the past. So
Yeah,
anyway, back to
totally.
you. So you started studying. Did you get certifications? Like what did
Yeah,
you
I went to the Czech Institute. I got some certifications through
Okay.
the Czech Institute. I started practicing. I gained a lot of experience with colleagues. Then I started experiencing the benefits of an infrared sauna.
Oh yeah, I
And
can't wait to talk about this.
yeah, so through that, I actually started a career selling saunas because I recognized how much it helped myself, but also the people that I was recommending it to. And so I started to work for a company, a few companies. I ended up leaving with a company called Clearlight Wellness. They're the leaders in the industry, and I've branched off since then to create my own online wellness community and programs. But the clear through working with Clearlight, I sold thousands of saunas to people all over North America, practitioners, doctors, wellness enthusiasts, athletes, all walks of life. Just average people, a lot of people in their 50s that just want to put it in their homes, and just all the benefits they were receiving, but all the things that I learned from my clients, as well as the practitioners that I connected with, connected me with a practitioner named Morley Robbins, who founded what's used to be called the Copernican Institute. It's actually now called the Root Cause Protocol Institute. And it's the study for metabolic health. And that's where I learned a lot about how minerals get dysregulated in the body. And so that's why you're hearing me talk about things in that way. And it actually is very well known in the metabolic health communities that minerals are really important for optimal metabolic function. So,
Okay.
especially
So
magnesium.
yeah.
I'll just give one mineral there for everyone.
Right. So I have a bunch of questions that have shot through my head. I definitely want to talk about the benefits of infrared sauna.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to talk about the cost for people because everything costs so much money these days, right? So we really need to talk about the benefits and then, to justify the cost, like why that instead of something else. And some of the things that that it helps with.
Hmm.
Um, and then what's that second thing we were just talking about that I wanted to talk about?
Well, you said biohacking, and in the description, we're
Yes, yeah, biohacking, but I mean saunas in particular. Oh, and then the minerals. So a lot of people are getting water systems put in their home. Okay,
hmm
but the water systems like reverse osmosis and some of
hmm
those other ones strip the water of minerals. Am I
yeah.
correct? Okay.
Yeah, but you don't really get much minerals from the water. Depends. I mean, you really want to get minerals from the water, but these days, I think people are avoiding salt. They're eating junk food.
Mhm.
Sugar, for example, is going to deplete more of your sodium and your potassium content, and it really depends also how much you burn, as how your metabolism oxidizes those minerals. For me, I'm a fast three oxidizer. I'm like 10% of the population is a fast three oxidizer, and we tend to hold on to sodium, potassium more, and then burn through calcium and magnesium quite a bit. Generally, I would not recommend calcium supplementation to anybody unless you're a fast 3 oxidizer, for
Well, how do you
example.
figure out if you're a fast free
So what we
oxidizer?
do is a hair trace mineral analysis. You take a sample of your hair and you send it into Trace Elements, and I can do that. I've run that for my clients a lot, and that helps you kind of determine what minerals you need to eat more of or to stock up more on. So
Even if
what
you get your hair like dyed and
you need to get it from the roots. So you wouldn't get it from the end, you would get it from the roots. And
okay.
so if you dyed your hair recently, we need to wait until you have at least a half of an inch of
Mm,
non-dyed hair
okay.
available. So, um,
Interesting.
but with mineral dysregulation comes from a variety of different things. Obviously, hormonal stress is one of those. Like I said, if you get angry, you're going to burn more magnesium. If you're crying all the time and always emotional, you're going to need more sodium and potassium. Anytime you exercise rigorously for 45 minutes or so, your body temperature gets up, or you use the sauna, your body's going to release some and use some minerals. And that's because it's needed in metabolic processes to create that energy and to get rid of the exhaust. So anytime the body creates energy, it's not free. Some people think, well, there's just free energy all around us. No, there's just a sustainable way of creating energy and getting rid of the exhaust that happens from creating that energy. For example, whenever you consume anything, you have waste that comes from what you consume.
Mhm,
And so it's important that what you consume from ground to mouth has nutrients in it that you can absorb.
mhm.
And so if it doesn't have mineral content, like today, that's what I was starting out with. Our soil is so depleted from the issues of Roundup and glyphosate and other chemicals they put in the environment, atrazine,
Oh,
heavy metal chelators that reduce all the heavy metals that are necessary for both our plants and animals. And then, today, if you look at the nutritional content of something like a cabbage or romaine lettuce, it's going to be much, less than if you were to have um, even 20 years ago, the soil was much more replete with minerals that are going to restore your body's optimal metabolic function. So that's part of the problem that we're facing today is the environmental degradation, the use of monocropping and totalitarian agriculture with the agricultural companies that are, um, you know, increasing their production at the cost of nutritional value, so to speak.
it's all about making more money.
It's about making more money. Some say, oh, we need to feed more people. Well, to feed more people and to improve energy efficiency in the country actually will come from more local food sheds. If we were to increase our local food sheds just by 30% in every major city, 30%, doesn't have to be 100%, we would become completely energy independent, for one. It would increase our efficiency so much that we'd have an economic boom higher than anything we've ever seen. And then we would have no issues with food production in the country.
Can
That's
we
our
talk
biggest
about
vulnerability. Yeah, go ahead.
that? What is a what'd you say, a health shed?
Food shed,
A
local
food
local
shed.
food sheds.
Okay,
Yes,
let's talk about what is a local food shed.
local food shed is when local people from communities to neighborhoods to CSAs, homesteads are collectively working together to grow food that can be shared amongst the community through something like a CSA, for example, which is
What's a
a
CSA?
it's basically shared agricultural products. So if
Okay.
you have a CSA, you're going to have people who subscribe to that CSA. And then whenever you harvest, for example, in Boulder County, we have a place called Dharma's Garden. It's the last homestead that's left in Boulder. And if you go visit there, you can sometimes pick up some of the produce that they have left from their CSA members um, not taking everything that they have had harvested. But usually you pay a fee for something like this. So we have another one called Kilt Farm off of one of the highways here that they produce enough food to feed a good portion of people. We're not at 30% in Boulder County, but the more we increase our local food sheds, the more efficiency we get in our local communities, and the more sustainable we are. And being sustainable and independent is really important. Go ahead.
Yeah. So who heads that up? Who's like just somebody who has a farm says, we're going to do this. It's a community
Sure. I
effort.
mean, you can, there's a lot of different resources I'm sure you can find online, but I'm sure in the future we might have some incentives through government programs, especially with some of the people who are leading the helm in the farming industry, and how and some of those government agencies, especially Bobby Kennedy Jr. in the Human Health Services. They're definitely going to have some incentives in the future. But if you have, say, 2 acres of land and you want to start a homestead, you can actually have community help you develop the homestead and to grow the food and to harvest the food, and ask members to sign up to the CSA, where they pay a yearly fee perhaps, and then they get access to the harvest every year, because there's going to be plenty. Like you're gonna make more than enough for your own home and your own homestead.
Mm,
Now, if you didn't want to make more than enough, that's fine. Just grow your own food and share it with your neighbors, so to speak.
right.
That's what we used to do, and now today it's switched from self-reliance and on some level, because it was, on some level, to say it was, let's just say it was like 80% self-reliance back in that day, and now it's turned over to complete reliance on a system that's really making people sick.
I know.
So
And regardless of your political view, the whole point that
this is a nonpartisan issue.
correct. It's a
Yeah.
nonpartisan issue. We want to, no matter who you are, becoming the healthiest version of yourself, you and your children, right? Like that is going to impact our future more than anything else, right?
And
And
then infertility is really bad right now, childhood
I
obesity.
know, I
I mean, we
know.
could talk about the chronic health disease epidemic that we have in the States. We're spending over $4.5 trillion on it per year. And part of that,
Trillion.
it's yeah, trillion people. We're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars. So if we can change that, which I believe we can through a
We
lot of
can.
different factors,
Yes, we can.
we're going to see the
Today we are.
healthiest country in the world. Our nation will be the healthiest
Which
country in the world.
we can do that.
We
And I
can.
always say it starts at home. I mean,
It
I've
does.
been saying this, and listen, I don't know everything. I definitely don't. This is coming from a cancer widow who lived in Northern California and ate at Cafe Gratitude and loved, like, I loved being in nature. I used to run and do triathlons and like learned how to fuel my body properly out there.
That's great. Oh no. Did her laptop just turn off again? Oh no. So so Kira's laptop likely went off again, but she's gonna come back maybe. So I'm here waiting and chatting with everybody. We're talking about infrared saunas, things you can do to improve your health from the comfort of your home. We're entering into a period of some major reformation and how we do things in the States. Metabolic health is a really important topic these days, because right now what we're seeing with all these metabolic diseases, which which is bankrupting our country, by the way, right now, is all we have to do is change our lifestyle. And that starts with local, growing your local food, eating locally, improving the soil health, increasing mineral rich water intake or in minerals in your diet, and learning to live a balanced lifestyle, so you're not burning yourself out through your work and through your relations. Did it reset again?
Yep, every 15 minutes it keeps doing that.
That's all
Sorry.
right. I took over. I like hearing myself talk.
Okay, good. So, and the good news is when this is posted when this is posted next week, my editor Joe is going to be able to obviously piece it all together.
Cool.
For those of you that are live, sorry. Is what it is. But we're getting a lot of good info out, I think, and hopefully answering people's questions, because even, I'm a part of this entrepreneur club. This is where I host my podcast. And I keep talking to them about biohacking, and they were asking me who my guest was today. And I told them who it was, and they're like, well, what is biohacking? And I'm like, it's actually a lot simpler than you think. So real quick, I want to touch base about what you just said, which is so powerful regarding essentially, growing our food in our communities, which we have up north in North County. Joe, do you know about this? There's a whole garden up there. They're doing that in North County. Yeah, I need to get more information about it, because we can change our future. It's in our hands. And it's all about our choices, right? The choices we make.
Absolutely, Kira. Yeah.
Yes, we can. So
And then, in Kira's frozen again here, but the future, if we look at, how things are going right now, just reconnecting with the current and emerging reality, it's not looking good, honestly. With, our country going bankrupt because of chronic disease, if people are not healthy, they're not going to do things in a healthy society. It's going to create, economic and political and social upheavals. We're seeing that take place right now. Part of that, I think, is due in part to environmental degradation, climate change, perhaps, on some level, and the displacement of people from all over the world. Immigration is causing a major problem, a health crisis as well. But there's things we can do to prepare, but also to mitigate those problems long term. And humanity is at a very evolutionary threshold at this time. We need to make some major changes very quickly. And if we don't, it's not going to be good for us. But like Kira said, we can make those choices to do the right thing, do the things that are going to make us healthy today and tomorrow and for the future to come. We still going?
We're going to try again.
Okay. Well, I was speaking to what you were talking to is which we can make the right choices and we can change our future with the right choices. But as it looks now, it's not looking good. So we're at a dire situation here where humanity does need to make some major changes as soon as
Right.
possible.
And regardless of, again, your political stance, even if you're anti what just happened, the whole idea of making America healthy again, it gets people thinking, it gets people's wheels turning. You know what?
Mhm.
There's something to that, right? It creates a buzz and hopefully creates this ripple effect of people taking small habits. All we need is everyone to take one small habit, right? Get used to it, know it, love it, then another one. It's that habit stacking idea. Okay, can we please talk about saunas?
Yeah.
Why so beneficial? Why our country is now coming on board? Because many other parts of the world have been using saunas,
Mhm.
regularly in their homes, in their clubs, in addition to cold plunging, cold exposure. But
Yeah, so as we're waiting for you to come back because you're having some difficulty with connection here, I'll speak to that. Infrared saunas, or saunas in general, I should say, have withstood the test of time. It's something we know in the human experience to be beneficial to health, and it actually, through studies, is actually increasing people's lifespans. And to increase your lifespan with the use of something as simple as a sauna is a revolutionary thing, in my opinion, especially since more and more people are adding these types of tools into their home. And not to go into any conspiracies, but if we have, forces that are against our health that are trying to make us sick, and you have something like a tool like a sauna in your household, you go out into the world and there's chemical cocktails everywhere that you might get exposed to. That sauna is going to help shake loose some of those chemicals so you can sweat out those toxins and perhaps improve your circulation so your organs and detox pathways are open and are able to excrete the waste that comes from interaction with our environment right now. And so, yes, very important tool today. Probably my number one on all what we call biohacking tools. It's not necessarily a biohacking tool. I say biohacking because it's that buzzword out there. But really, what we're doing is we're learning to create balance in the body. We're bioharmonizing our life and with things like a sauna in our lifestyle. Now, traditionally, what's been used for saunas in the past, dating back even 5,000 years ago, is just a hot air, hot sauna. We have wood burning and electric. Yeah. Hey, we're talking about saunas. Welcome back.
thank you. All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk
Yeah.
about saunas until this thing shuts off
Do
again.
it.
You're running the show here today, David.
Yeah, so I was talking about, the benefit of saunas and, the how this, chemical soup and that we're exposed to every day can contribute to the stress and how the sauna can help mitigate that to help us detox and keep our circulation improved, and it's proven through studies to do a lot of different things: improve your circulation, improve all-cause mortality, especially cardiovascular health. If you're over the age of 50, I believe it's 3 times a week, 3 to 5 times a week, 20 minutes at a time. The studies were 180 degrees or more, but all you're trying to do is get a body temperature increase and a heart rate increase, and it increases or decreases your chances of cardiac death, I think, by like over 60%. So there's tremendous benefit here. We're missing, so Kira's frozen again, but I'm just going to continue down this pathway. Saunas also improve your circulation, especially in infrared sauna. Infrared saunas are more beneficial, in my opinion, because of the resonant frequencies that resonate with your body, that stimulate your meridians. And in Western or Eastern medical practices, they discovered these meridians, which is parts of your body where what's called where a certain type of water is running. It's called this crystalline form of water called easy water or exclusion zone water, and which is utilized in every metabolic process. And so if you can improve that production of exclusion zone water through the use of an infrared sauna and infrared wavelengths, exposure to sun, cold exposure as well, that is going to be beneficial long term for all kinds of reasons, because improving mitochondrial function, improving your body's ability to get rid of exhaust through the cell at a cellular level, is ultimately what we're trying to achieve. It's that micro aspect of our health that most people don't know exists, but through studies and through a lot of research, we've discovered that these things are really important. Welcome back.
Thank you. This is really embarrassing. I'm very sorry.
Do you what's actually going on? I'm curious.
We're not quite sure. The production team is working on it.
We're not sure either.
We're not sure. But the computer keeps shutting off every so often. It was like every 15 minutes, and then it's gone down in time. So not sure. But I'm glad the listeners that are on still are hearing about. Is anybody asking? Can you tell? Is anybody asking questions?
I haven't seen any questions on my end, but maybe you guys have.
Well, I don't think so, but people are listening. So I'm glad whatever info you're sharing, people are absorbing. So you're talking about saunas and the importance of sauna use. Have you talked about how like?
So there's other things to talk about saunas, like with using it in your home. We have traditional and infrared saunas, and like I was saying, the infrared sauna, in my opinion, is more beneficial. The other thing is not only is it helping with your metabolic function, it's helping you detox. It improves your circulation directly as you absorb the infrared wavelengths from the emitters directly as heat. And in a sauna, we get what I like to call whole body infrared heat therapy. And that's when you're being exposed to infrared wavelengths around your whole body. That's going to increase your body temperature, boost your immune system. It's going to increase your heart rate. You're going to sweat out toxins, and you're going to feel good after you get in the sauna most often. Sometimes it depletes minerals, though, so you need to increase your mineral intake, perhaps have a coconut water, maybe get some nice cucumber juice I like to do with a little green apple. You could also add your own electrolyte mix in there with some sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Magnesium malate is what I prefer during the day, glycinate at night. You could also do forms like threonate, taurate, and we could talk about that another time. But infrared saunas are the way to go. Also, you can use it at lower temperatures for longer periods. And if you do lower temperatures, longer periods, you can perspirate 2 to 3 times as much. As a lot of people in a traditional sauna, they feel too hot after about 20 minutes because you're sitting in there at 180 degrees, breathing in that hot air. It can be not very pleasant of a feeling. Some people don't like saunas because of that. The other thing in having an infrared sauna is you can use it at much lower temperatures. So you want to throw it at 100 degrees, and you have a yoga sauna like me where you can remove the benches and move around in there. Do a nice stretching session in the sauna at 104 degrees or so, 108. Depends on what you want, how much you want to sweat while you're stretching. And so infrared saunas are much more versatile, in my opinion. I like to combine it with something else. It's called light therapy or red light therapy. You've heard of that, I'm sure. We also call that low-level light therapy, or what we call photobiomodulation. It's essentially you're exposing the cell to a ray of light that has some sort of impact. And with red light and near infrared, it actually penetrates into the mitochondria and it stimulates the mitochondria. And this can actually help the mitochondria work more optimally. And so people see things like increased testosterone, improvement in sleep, and recovery from exercise. The body's ability to get rid of exhaust is increased as well. And so if you are overly toxic, if you have something like a gene mutation like MTHFR, red light therapy can be tremendously beneficial, but you want to start slow. And especially if you are already toxic and using a sauna, for example, you do want to start slow because you are mobilizing those toxins. And the detox pathways need to be functioning optimally in order for those to pass through the body. So, infrared sauna, my number one pick, you can find with Bioharmony Collective. We have clear light you can find through our member portal. If you would like to become a member, you get exclusive prices on all of our product providers, and Clearlight is one of them. You can go to clearlight.bioharmonycollective.org and you can get access to those the exclusive pricing through as a member of our community. And I want to speak to saunas a little more because I have so much experience with saunas, and a lot of people, they go on the market and they see all these different products out there, and that's one of the issues that we face in today's world is there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of people who are trying to reinvent the wheel, and there's a lot of which some competition is important, don't get me wrong. I will say, participating in capitalism on some level. And so competition can be important, but when you have everybody and their brother that can start a business by contacting Alibaba and having a truckload of saunas shipped to you, whether good quality or not, with your own brand on it, it's just trying to reinvent the wheel and also possibly sending somebody a product that may not work. And then you go out of business and it doesn't function and they just spent thousands of dollars. I don't know about you, Kira, but if I spent thousands of dollars on a product, I want it to continue to work for a long time. And especially if my mom was the person that was buying that product, she spent her $5,000 savings, and then the product doesn't work, and she can never get support, and all she was doing is trying to make herself feel better.
Mhm.
It breaks my heart. This happens to so many people.
Yeah. Right. And some people are willing to do anything to feel better. Right. And so, and that's the thing, this industry too, David, like there's so much, it's like so much information, people are claiming all these different things. And it's like, even for myself, like I've spent a ton on supplements and different types of things. So I came back in and you were talking about light therapy in conjunction with the sauna. And so did you clarify the difference between infrared
Yeah, in
saunas
a
and
in a
light therapy?
traditional.
Because they're different.
Oh yeah, they're complementary therapies. Whole body infrared heat therapy is to get your body temperature up, whereas the light therapy is to stimulate the mitochondria. So also the whole body infrared heat therapy is going to stimulate what's called exclusion zone water production in the cells, which is that crystalline form of water that the cells use for every metabolic process. So if you're doing both of those together, stimulating the mitochondria and that easy water, you're definitely doing a good service to the body. You're helping your body maintain that homeostasis or that attempt at creating balance. But if you overdo it and you're already toxic, if you have something like a gene mutation like MTHFR, you want to go slow. Low and slow is the rule. And that's the game, especially with something as potent as an infrared sauna.
Okay. How do you know if you have the MTFR gene?
I believe you can get genetic testing. And then I believe, a lot of functional practitioners will do genetic testing. And you could see if you have that gene mutation.
Mhm.
There's debates on why it's coming up, why it's a thing. I think it
Mhm.
has to do with our environment, our thought
Mhm.
process,
Mhm.
the way people are growing up, and all the things that we're being exposed to. For
And
example, there's
stress. Yeah.
studies on atrazine. Exposure to atrazine is, in studies, shows that frogs can change genders just through that exposure, and it's a very small amount. So
Jeez. Okay. Well, sorry for all the interruptions. But you've done your whole spiel on infrared because I've heard it because I actually have a clear light infrared sauna. due to, so I turned 40 a couple weeks ago, and I
Happy
decided
birthday.
that, oh, thank you. I'm going to have things in my home to help me and my children be healthier. So we got rid of all our plastic. I just recently started ordering food and milk from Fed from the Farm, which is a local St. Louis farm that delivers raw milk. You know, all their food is delicious, and you know, it is more expensive, but it's something that I think pay money on the front end, so in the long term, my children are going to have happier, healthier lives, which is my goal and what I talk about and where I spend our money. And having a sauna for me, mentally and physically, I felt like, is that our music or your music? Someone's
Not mine.
music. That was
Oh, maybe it
hilarious.
is. Maybe it is mine. Here, I'll turn it off here. Sorry.
Oh,
There we go. I have
I was
background
like,
music playing because it's nice.
oh yeah. Whoops, it was. Okay. So I did invest in an infrared sauna that I go in, and I'm the type of person that loves it. So I want to go in every day. So did you talk about how often people should be going, and what happens if you are sick, right? Like, I'm coming off the tails of COVID. So
Yeah.
can you talk about that a little bit? And then we are going to have to wrap up soon.
Yeah.
But if you can touch base on that, that'd be great.
Yeah, and applause to you. You know, you're leading the charge, and you're not spending all your money and time to get rich, and then in turn, years later, having to spend all your money to get healthy.
Right.
So having that balance is really important today. We want to spend just enough to maintain our health while also maintaining our health, our financial pillar. And so I would say infrared sauna is definitely on the top of the list. Number one in our tools for making healthy home habits. And so if you're sick, that was the question. How often do you use it? Typically 3 to 5 days a week is fine. 20 to 45 minutes at a time.
Okay.
Replenish with minerals is really important. If you are sick, though, keep in mind that heat shock is a stressor on the body. And
Mm-hmm.
while it does have a hermetic effect, if you're already under a lot of stress, too much heat shock wouldn't be good, and it can cause you to deplete too many minerals. So let's just say you're already running a high fever, your body's already feverish. Probably better to increase your minerals and get rest and try to sleep, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe even try to get that fever to come down a little, than to go sit in a sauna where you're actually depleting more minerals, and then causing heat stress on the body. So that's the only time I might say that.
Okay.
Otherwise, generally, a healthy person, even if you're slightly compromised, can use the sauna 3 days a week, 3 to 5 days a week. And the thing is, you just might use it at lower temperatures for longer periods. Some people like it really hot. They're like, oh, it's got to be hot in order to get the benefit, when that's just simply not the truth. If you're used to a traditional sauna at 180 degrees and you're sitting in there for 20 minutes, well, you may just wait in the sauna and use it for 30 to 45 minutes, or wait for the temperature to go up a little higher than 120 degrees. Infrared saunas you're going to use between 110 and 140, whereas a traditional sauna you're going to use between 180 to 220 degrees. And the reason why you can use the infrared sauna for longer periods at lower temperatures is because you have what's called a black body panel of infrared emitter. And in clear light, they use a combination of carbon and ceramic materials, which are high emitters of infrared energy. And whenever you put electricity through them, they warm up and then they emit a wavelength. And clear light peaks their wavelengths at around 200 degrees, what we call the sweet spot for optimal therapeutic benefit. So the surface temperature of those heaters that you see on your sauna, Kyra, in your Sanctuary 2 sauna that you got from Bioharmony Collective, is the surface temperature of those is around 200 degrees. And so if the air temperature is 140, the surface temperature is going to feel hotter than the air around you. And that's actually what's getting your body temperature up, what's improving your circulation, what's causing that deep detoxing sweat, versus getting that air temperature really high. So just got to keep that in mind. Infrared saunas are a different animal, and they're more effective, and I believe much more healthy for us than a traditional sauna. Now, there is not a lot of research to prove my points, but there are threads in research pointing towards that, and to me, it makes the most sense.
Okay. Now, when you talk about refueling with minerals. What's like I drink LMNT is not sponsoring the show, but I am going to use it because I do love LMNT. So I drink LMNT in the mornings and then
Okay.
sometimes throughout the afternoon. It has 1,000 milligrams of sodium, potassium, magnesium.
Yeah.
Is this a good
So
option?
personally, I'm not a fan of LMNT for various different reasons. I'm sure you'll find the scandal issues out there, but maltodextrin is one of the things that they've had in their products, and
Hmm.
it's caused problems for people who are on elimination diets like a carnivore diet,
Hmm.
because that can actually cause a reaction in some people who are trying to reduce their carb and sugar intake completely. You don't want to have any kind of insulin
That's
response
right.
to the minerals that you're intaking. So the mineral source is really important. Personally, I source my minerals. I get the minerals that my body is compatible with: potassium citrate. I just source it from Thorn, for example.
Thorn's a
Um,
good one.
Magnesium calcium citrate, I'm fine with. Some people, they can't do it; it's too sensitive on their stomach. Magnesium, there's different forms you can take. The most common form of magnesium is malate, and that's good for energy. Glycinate, taurate, you have the 3-in-8, which is good for the brain. Oxalate, you have a bunch of different forms of magnesium, but the most common and most beneficial I've noticed are magnesium malate and magnesium glycinate. If you're going to take it orally, topically, you're going to get it in the form of chloride, even the magnesium flakes, magnesium sulfide flakes, your flakes that you soak in a bath are really important. So that's the mineral intake. You can put a little potassium bicarbonate into, or a cream of tartar into your bath as well. So we can absorb
Yeah.
potassium through the skin too. So if you're doing baths, that's really good at replenishing the bodies. Going to hot mineral springs can be really good.
Okay.
Um, and sodium. So for me, if I'm going to add minerals to the water, I source my water or my minerals from a company called Biocean, or other people know it as Quinton, and they're essentially as oceanic marine plasma. It has a really high compatibility or makeup um, of your cerebral spinal fluid. So it's very bioavailable to the body, and actually has a high benefit to
I did.
your gut microbiome. And so
Right.
for a lot of people who are deficient in sodium, which I'd say is a good portion of people out there, if you're getting vertigo, if you're feeling hungover a lot, or just thirsty all the time, you could be low in sodium. Even if you have high blood pressure, sometimes it means you're low in sodium. And sometimes high blood pressure is simply due to the fact that your body is imbalanced in minerals. And a lot of that's due
Interesting.
to the lifestyle and diet that we have. Too
Yeah.
much sugar, for example, is going to cause too many carbs, not enough protein, or you're eating a mostly protein and fat diet and you're not getting enough minerals, because the body has a hard time holding on without carbohydrates, has a hard time holding on to minerals and water.
Okay.
So,
So you have a company you recommend. I'm just talking about the average Joe. I just got a clear light sauna.
mhm.
I know I need to replenish with minerals. I take a magnesium. I also drink either this or relight.
Relight.
Um, is that one okay? Relight.
I'm doing more research on this now, because I've just traditionally used the oceanic marine plasma, along with potassium citrate, bicarbonate, soaks, everything I
Yeah.
was saying. So I make my own mixes in the ratios that feels appropriate for me. It really depends on how you're oxidizing these things too. Like if you're on, a mixed carb and protein diet, and you're a fast 3 oxidizer, right? Like me, you don't really need to supplement much with potassium and sodium, because your body's going to have a tendency to hold on to it more. So I increase my magnesium and calcium intake.
Hmm.
Whereas if you're a slow oxidizer, you're going to burn more sodium and potassium and probably need to increase that. So,
So
and it
everyone,
just,
it's an individual. It's an individual thing. So people.
yes,
Okay.
none of us have
So
the same metabolism.
okay, right. Yes, you're right. So I'm just trying to keep it simple for the people that are watching because some people, every single dollar is already allotted to their budget in their life. So if
Yeah.
there's one change, you would say save up for a sauna, or if you have a bunch of discretionary income, an infrared sauna is the number one. Well, I'm gonna ask you, what's the number one thing that you would suggest people get?
Yeah, an infrared sauna.
Okay.
Um, Second to that, light therapy, red light therapy, which I have multiple options through our community, Bioharmony Collective. We have different product providers we work with, including a private label where we're working on for the community. Cold plunges can be very helpful if you do that contrast therapy. You get
Mm-hmm,
hot, you expand, you get cold, you contract. So that
mm-hmm,
that contraction improves our stress response,
mm-hmm,
improve mood, better hormonal response throughout the day, better
mm-hmm.
sleep, all the things that come from that contrast therapy has been around for thousands of years. So those are things that I can help people achieve
Okay.
or to purchase if they're interested in learning about our product providers.
Yeah.
But also, if you're going to change any, and you said one thing when it comes to our diet, don't avoid fats for one. You need cholesterol. I would say most people, especially women, because women have more hormonal fluctuations than men, you need more fat and protein, especially in the morning. So I'd say, yeah, don't avoid fats. And then uh, if you're drinking reverse osmosis water and you're not getting a lot of minerals in your diet, yeah, don't be afraid to salt your food from sources like Maldon salt. Maldon has been my favorite salt lately.
Yeah.
I think it comes from Oregon. There's also Jacobson salt. It's like tasting salt. Don't be afraid to salt your food. And then also, if you're going to add any mineral to your diet just from a supplement form, in my opinion, the safest thing to do is magnesium malate glycinate, those ones that I said. Personally, I have a particular magnesium supplement that I work with through Physician Strength that has 3 different forms of magnesium, as well as the amino acid L3 L-theanine,
Okay.
which is really good to help the body calm down. And so people who are overly stressed, magnesium is going to be really helpful. And then, yeah, soak your body in some Epsom salts 3 days
Mm-hmm.
a week for the next month and see how you feel and get back to me, you know?
I love this. And I, of course, have so
Yeah.
many other questions. And I still, I mean, we talk, I feel like all the time, I'm constantly texting you. But for those of you that, and I do have two final questions, but for those of you that have more questions, David, how can they find you to ask questions? Or maybe you have, your website lists this, because again, I recognize that this is a lot. It's a lot to digest. There's so much. And it seems like one thing leads to another, leads to another. So, for someone who does have questions and wants to go down the rabbit hole, what's the best place to get in contact with you, or
Yeah,
where?
so if you're interested in a sauna, you can go to clearlight.bioharmonycollective.org and just mention this, podcast today, and I'm happy to, also throw in some freebies or something. Make sure you mention this podcast. But also, you can go to clearlight.bioharmonycollective.org. You can email me or go to my Instagram, which is Mr. Good Stuff, GUD stuff, because I bring the good stuff into the world, right? From,
Yeah. And
you
you
know,
also live in a community, which I mean, again, that's a whole nother podcast about communal living.
yeah,
Um,
another
love
podcast
it.
about communal living.
Um,
There you are.
so find David on Instagram, go to their website. Two last questions before we wrap this up. One, if there's one piece of advice someone has given you throughout life, whether it be, when you were younger or just yesterday, that you feel like has made a big difference for you, what would it be?
Morally, I would say
Tell me frozen from the phone call.
be true to yourself and genuine to others.
Sorry about that.
Where'd you go? That was one question. Now, there's probably lots of things that people have said to me over the years that have been beneficial to me. I used to work for a Chinese guy who now helps homeless people in Kansas City. He owns what's called Artists Helping the Homeless. His name is Car Wu. If you're listening, Car Wu, hey, which he might listen. I said to him one day, I was like, Wu, what's the greatest lesson that you've ever learned?
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell me? He said, uh, Be true to yourself and genuine to others.
Mm, I love that.
And
Be true to
that
yourself.
stayed with me. That stayed with me.
I love that. Be true to yourself, genuine to others. And then final question. We've already kind of answered this, but I'm gonna give you another opportunity. One thing you want these all of us who are those of you who are listening, one thing you want them to remember from this conversation, one takeaway or action item for them.
Let's make America healthy again, and it starts with you in your home.
Mhm.
Let's just turn this world into a golden age.
Let's do it.
It's
You have
time.
the
That's why we're
power.
here. Yeah, we're
Yeah, and
here.
that's
Welcome to the big times.
exactly. Yes, we can. The name of my podcast on purpose. We can move mountains together, right? And it starts at home. So thank you so much for your time, David. I am
Yeah.
incredibly grateful that you came on. I am so sorry for all of the technical difficulties. Again, Mercury's in retrograde. I also have this like weird thing with, so I really appreciate your time and all of your knowledge and expertise. Anybody who has questions, please find him. Feel free to DM me and I can connect you as well. Have a good rest of your day. I know we're going to be more in contact because we just are, and I believe in what you're doing, and I want to be a part of this whole biohacking team across America who is trying to take steps to a healthier, so we're all in a healthier place. So thank you to all of those. Thank you so much, David.
Thanks for all you do,
Thank you to
Kira.
all of Yes, absolutely. To all of you, those who are listening, please like, subscribe, send this to your family and friends, comment. I'll be back next week, 11:15. We changed it to 11:15 because we never start on time. On Tuesdays, look for this on my Facebook page, and it'll be posted to all the podcast channels next Tuesday. Thanks again, David.